Select Committee process and the swift passage of this legislation. Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Honourable Peter Sharples.
He kohu, he kohu. Tau ana, tau ana. Tau tā papana ki runga ki a maunga pohatu. Hine pukohurang. O Tuhoe pōtiki. Nau mai, haramaira. Nau mai. Mr Speaker, I am deeply honoured to welcome to the House today the sons and daughters of Maunga Pohatu, children of Hine Pukohurangi, descendants of Tuhoe Pōtiki. Nā reira tautawananga mihi kia kōtau, e haere tinana mai a ki te whare pare mati tēnei rā, te timatanga o ngā kōrero pāne ki te krem. Nā reira nau mai haramai, ka whai kōtau i ngā mahi kua mahia e te hunga whiriwhiri ia tāmatima, nā rira whakatauma. Me ngā mate ko pākia koutou mai te timatanga o tēnei pire, taino ki tēnei rā, tautokanau ngā mihi, ngā poropora ki a rātau, kia oki pai rātau i te kaihanga. Hēno, ko tai mai, tēnā koutou, nau mai haramai. Tuhoe maumau kai, maumau taonga, maumau tangata ki te pō. Mr Speaker, before this claim is over, the famous whakatauaki will be uttered many times in this House. It is a proverb that perfectly fits the important mahi we are here to acknowledge today. Tuhoe maumau kai, Tuhoe renowned for generosity. Tuhoe maumau taonga, generosity that has seen the lands and the peoples of Tuhoe become living bastions of culture and language for all Māori people. Tuhoe maumau tangata ki te pō, Tuhoe renowned for steadfast determination, resilience, fearlessness. Mr Speaker, Tuhoe did not sign the Treaty of Waitangi. The Crown had no footprint in the Urewera before the 1860s. However, the footprint the Crown would soon leave across the lands of Tuhoe Pōtiki was a footprint of confiscation, violence, and scorched earth. Critics of this government's treaty settlements usually complain about the monetary cost, but how can we ever put a monetary cost on lives, land, livelihoods taken by force by the barrel of a gun? Every New Zealander should read the deed of settlement we are enacting today. How else can we know the history and identity of our country if we don't know the whole story, as well as those stories that make us proud to be New Zealanders? We should know the stories from our nation's past that are shocking and shameful. I'm an advocate for our history, Māori history being taught in schools. Kia mōhio mai ai, a tauiwi, he tēnei me te mana whenua, ko wai te tangata whenua, e rā huatanga e pāna kia ia tātou. New Zealanders need to know about the war crimes committed by the Crown against the Tuhoe people. Mr Speaker, banned by the United Nations Geneva Convention, scorched earth is a military strategy where the assets, food sources, transportation, communications and resources of the civilian population are destroyed. Scorched earth military tactics were used by the Crown as it waged war in Te Urewera from the 1860s onwards. Crown soldiers executed unarmed Tuhoe prisoners. Crown soldiers murdered unarmed Tuhoe civilians. Crown soldiers forced Tuhoe families out of Te Urewera and imprisoned them at Te Pūtere. Entire communities were starved. The loss of life was extensive. Those that survived returned home and found their homes burnt to the ground. These crimes took place over years. Indiscriminate raupatu or land confiscation, killings, and scorched earth warfare. So when the critics complain about settlements like the one we are introducing to this House today, I urge them to read the history before they dismiss them. I too reacted strongly, like other members in this House today, when the police raids happened in Tuhoe recently. I refer to it as putting race relations back 100 years. And I still stand by that. We are past that stuff. We must be past that stuff if we're going to move on as a nation. Mr. Speaker, 40 years ago, the late Tuhoe rangatira John Te Rangi Aniwenua Rangihau described marae as a place of refuge, a place to live our lives on our terms, according to our values, a place where we live, learn and cherish a heritage which is truly and always will be our own. Today is a day for all of us to pay tribute to a tribe whose people have always sought to live their lives on their terms, to bring their children up according to their values, tēnā koutou Tuhoe, who have always sought to keep their ancestral lands as a place to live, to learn, to cherish a heritage which is truly and always will be owned by the sons and daughters of Tuhoe Pōtiki. Tuhoe, puna of knowledge, stronghold of culture, a place of refuge for Māori language and culture. The Māori nation is indebted to the Tuhoe people. The New Zealand nation is indebted to the Tuhoe people. And I am humbled as a tuki mate o Ngāti Kahun, proud and honoured to stand here on what is a milestone day for all New Zealanders. A major part of today's milestone is the concept of mate mate aone. That lies at the heart of Tuhoetanga, a touchstone for kinship, human relations, and eternal bonds, those things that unite a whānau, a hapu, a tribe. Today, these are the kinds of bonds we are hoping to rebuild. The Tuhoe settlement has always been a Te Urewera settlement. One of the key components of the settlement is the recognition of Te Urewera in her own right and with her own identity. This settlement will release Te Urewera from the Crown's control and influence, and through this action, the Crown acknowledges Ngai Tuhoe's unique and special relationship with her and the wāhi tapu and the taonga that lie within her boundaries. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the kind of loss faced by the families of Tuhoe Pōtiki is the kind of loss that can never be minimized in a dollar value. This kind of loss is forever felt by whānau across generations throughout an entire tribe. And yet, Mr. Speaker, the people of Ngai Tuhoe are here today because they wish to settle their historical Treaty of Waitangi grievances with the Crown. So I acknowledge the sacrifice, pain and injustices caused by the Crown, suffered by the whānau of Te Urewera. So many are no longer with us, but their sacrifice, their steadfast determination and mana will soon be recorded in the laws of this nation. Mai rā anō. I'd like to acknowledge Minister Finlayson. One of the first settlements he began researching was this one. He went backwards and forwards, as did Tāmati, and he'd come springing into my office. I've got it. I'm going to give the bloody forest back. E nā momo kōrero. Then the next day, oh, for shooks. Then another day, I got it. And so on. Congratulations, Minister. You really pulled one off here. Really good for us all. I also pay tribute and thank the sons and daughters of Hine Pukohurangi for their leadership. Without their mana, without their incredible generosity, we would not be here today. Tuhoe mau kai, tuhoe mau taonga, tuhoe mau tangata ki te pō, tēnā koutou, kia ora tātou.
I call the Honourable Tuhoe